This is what they're seeing. So I think this whole thing
Closer? Okay.
You're not getting any view of the basket.
Okay. I can do that. Yeah.
So I think it's stable maybe.
Yeah, I'll even move it closer.
Yeah, I believe maybe flip it with this one.
Okay.
Put this here and this there so that might.
Sure. Do you want it kind of right next to like that
the other
poster board?
problem is because when we are speaking, we want to be able to see us speak.
Okay.
So that's the other issue.
Okay. Got it.
We have the same thing with trying to do that.
And it falls.
And yeah, how do we? So maybe it's almost at an angle here.
Okay. Sure.
Because this
I'll
is
work
the
on it for you.
Yeah. And I can keep showing you what they're seeing.
Okay. Yeah. I think Phil has it on his phone,
Oh,
so
okay.
we'll keep an eye on it. Well, I'm
Exactly.
Thank you. Sammy, Sammy, Ravi Singh's son. You send I have lipstick.
That's him?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Look,
Oh my God.
Tyler.
I know. One time I was sitting at Manasa and he was telling me all his experiences.
Favorite.
And he kept talking and talking. I could imagine. But I didn't know that. I'm glad I
Don't like Fana,
This one.
huh?
Yeah, this is a ceremonial dress we wear in the banquet together as an officer.
अच्छा
So this is, I think, he's getting an award.
अच्छा
And this is the Air Chief Marshal Lal, PC Lal.
Oh, really?
So yeah, when he was station commander in Yelahanka, group captain. And this is the Chief of Air Staff, PC Lal. And this is the ceremonial we wear in the evening when we go for banquet or dinner. This is a uniform evening
Yeah.
dinner dress.
Wow.
And this is the dress we wear for normal work.
Oh,
I missed my same thing dress.
yeah.
So this is the wing and this is the medal.
And who's this? Him?
Yeah,
Well,
Raji.
Groupie. Raji.
Raji.
This is, I think, after he just retired, this is when he was commanding, Station Commander Yalanka, Bangalore. And chief, this is, I think, he was aboard. This group captain rank.
Right, right.
So group captain is 4 types. This is Air Chief Marshal PC Lal.
Hmm. So they have this.
No, see, he's got one big one, which is Air Commodore, Air Vice Marshal, Air Chief Marshal. So as a group captain, he had 4 of these small ones. 2, 3, 4.
Oh, wow.
After when he became Air Commodore, then he get one big one. And then keep having one. Air Commodore, Air Vice Marshal, Air Chief Marshal. So he had 4 of these.
Oh, wow.
I had 3. I had 2 in one center. I was scoring 2.
Yeah.
Big commander, you get 3.
तो अभी तुम्हारे पास है?
Uh-huh.
Or you have the?
I had about 9 medals.
So do you have the full outfit? और है कि नहीं अभी है तो?
I should have brought it.
No, India छोड़ा है.
I know, I lost it. I should have kept my uniform. I feel bad. Yeah. I should have got my uniform and wing and PCAP. Yeah. I feel bad.
Tell him about it. Tell him about that.
No, this is rank. He was a group captain. So as a group captain, you had 4 of these.
Air Chief Marshal.
Yeah, Air Chief Marshal PC. I'm just explaining the rank. How does it work? So group captain, you get 4 of these. Yes, so he is group captain. Yeah. So see, he had one big one you cannot see, which is Air Commodore. Then after Air Commodore, then you get Air Vice Marshal, Air Chief Marshal. Raji had 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then group captain. These are medals. Yeah. This is a wing. These are medals you won. So like he must have got. I had about 8. I had lost them. So he was a station commander. He was the Yalanka. He was station commander. Yalanka. Bangalore.
Air Chief Marshal Arjun Singh put the
Arjun Singh.
gave him the Vayu Sena medal.
Yeah, VM. It's called VM. Vice Senator.
So that was his big
Yeah.
always.
So I just put you over on the side of the building.
Oh, okay.
Yep. That's okay.
That's all right. No
What's
worries.
up, Ramir?
All right.
Hopefully it's a nail. Nail, no, it's for break.
I got a nail in both of them. Yeah, where's Sonia? Because your mom looks like this is my daughter. I said, well, very old friend. That's my sister. We had women's group. She was making fun of me. Do you remember honey? Holy shit. Where's Nikki back? Wait for me. She get lost. I know she get lost. You know she was. And a leg between him and you. And I had to go eat after she got done. So that my TV. Wait, is that because different? So wave to everyone. So they just heard my confession about wanting to go to bed.
Sini, remember Sonia? Sonia.
What are you doing, silly goose?
I start cammering.
So that people can see, because people are watching.
See? They really
They want to be able to see, but they couldn't make it here today. So,
like Kian and all are watching.
oh yeah, Kian's on. Yeah.
See? There's your head.
Do you need a little boost?
There you go.
What? Are you trying to slip and fall? What? Shoes. They're so impractical. Look at us. We're so practical. No, not today.
Are you gonna pick them up?
I have cat-like reflexes.
No, if anyone falls during the funeral, we're staying there. What'd you have for breakfast? That's it? No eggs? No bacon?
Where are your other?
Only Mama came. I thought he was.
They have grandkids next year. Yeah.
How are you? Friday. Friday. The new flight.
We're there. Yeah.
You flew this morning?
Yeah, it's in the car. Okay.
Bill's on, say hi. Those your hand kids in face.
How long you talk for?
Right, yes, yes. It's a great.
And us. Hi. I have one of my teachers. My
Oh, do you? Oh. Yeah, thank you. I know. All days. Yeah. And not the good. You said that. Take care of yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention for just a moment, please. The service is going to be starting in approximately 5 minutes. So for those of you standing, if I could invite you to take your seats at this time. And once everyone is seated, we kindly ask that you remove your shoes and place them underneath the chair that you're sitting in, and to please remain seated at all times. Thank you.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਜਪਜੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਇੱਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ ਆਦ ਸਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸਚ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸਚ ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਵੀ ਸਚ ਸੋਚੇ ਸੋਚ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਜੇ ਸੋਚ ਲਖਵਾਰ ਚੁਪੇ ਚੁਪ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਜੇ ਲਾਲ ਲਵਤਾਰ ਮੁਖਿਆ ਮੁਖਣਾ ਤਰੇ ਜੇ ਬਨਾ ਪ੍ਰਤਾਰ ਸਹਿ ਸਣ ਪਾਲਕ ਹੋ ਤੱਕ ਨ ਚਲੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿਉ ਸੱਚਾ ਹੋਏ ਕਿ ਪੁਰ ਟੁੱਟੇ ਪਾਲ ਹੁਕਮ ਨ ਜਾਈ ਚਲਣਾ ਨਾਨਕ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਨਾਲ ਹੁਕਮੇ ਹੋ ਨਾ ਕਰ ਹੁਕਮ ਕਹਿ ਜਾਏ ਹੁਕਮੇ ਵੰਚੇ ਹੁਕਮ ਲੈ ਵਡਿਆਏ ਹੁਕਮੇ ਉਤਮ ਨੇ ਚੁਪ ਹੁਕਮ ਲਿਖ ਦੁਖ ਸੁਖ ਪਾਏ ਇਕ ਨ ਹੁਕਮੇ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ एक हुक्म सदा पवाए हुक्म अंदर सब को भाग हुक्म ना कोई नानक हुक्म जे बुझे ताहो में कहे ना कोई गावे को दान होवे के सितान गावे को दा जन शान गावे को गुणिया चार गावे को विद्या विक्रम विचार गावे को सागर तनखे गावे को जी ले फिर गावे को जापे दिसे दूर गावे को एक हजरा दूर कथना कथिना तोड़ कात गद कथि कोटि कोट कोट देदा दे लेदे थक पाए जुगा जुंतर खाए खाए हुक्म हुक्म चलाए राव नानक सेवे परवाव सच सब सच राय बाके भव पार आके मंगे दे देदा देदा तार फिर के आगे रखे जित से दरबार मौके बोलन बोले जित सुन तरे प्यार मत वेला सचना उड़िया विचार गर्मी आवे कपड़ा नंद्री मोदवा ना किवे जाने स्वापा सचार था पहना जाए कि ताना आप अपना जन सोए जन सेवा दिन पाया मान नानक गावे गुण निदान गावे सुने मन रखे पाओ दुख पर हर सुगर ले जाए गुरुमुख नादम गुरुमुख वेदम गुरु ग्रह समाए गुरु सर गुरु गुरु पमा गुरु पार्वती माय जे हो जाना खना कहना कथना जाए गुराइक दे बुझाय सबना ज्या कायक दाता सो मैं विसर न जाय तीर्थ नावा जे तिस पाव निर्वाणे की नाय करी जे तिस टुपाई वे कवड़ कर्मा के मिले लाई मात विचरत न जवा हनुमान जे गुर के सूचने गुराइक दे बुझाय सबना ज्या दाता सो मैं विसर न जाय जय जुचारे आजा हो दसुन होए नवात नवे जाने न चले सब कोई चंगा नाव रखाए के जस के जगले जितिस नदन आवी तावत न पूछे के कीट अंदर कीट कर दोषी दो दरे नानक निर्गुण गुण करे गुणवंत्या गुण दे त्या गुण सूची जय तिस गुण कोई करे सुने से सुनना सुन दर्द कास सुने दीपलो पताल सुने पुन सके काल नानक बलता सदा विगास सुने दुख पाप कहा नाश सुने सर्वब्रह्मांड सुने मुख सलाह मंद सुने जोग वतन वेद सुने शास्त्र समेत वेद नानक बता सदा विगा सुन दुख गाना सुने सत संतो ज्ञान सुने असत का स्नान सुने पर पावे मान सुने लागे सदा नरबता सदा विगा सुने दुख पाप का नाश सुने श्रावणा के गा सुने से पीर पातशाह सुने अंधे पावे राग सुने हाथ होवे सगाना बता सदा विगा सुन दुख का नाश मन के गत कहीं ना जाए जे को कहे पीछे पछताए कागज कलम न लिखना मने का बेकर विचार ऐसा राम निरंजन हो जे को मन जाने मन कोय मन सुध मन बुद्ध मन श्रवण की सुध मन मोजो टना काय मन चम के साथ न जाए ऐसा नाम निरंजन हो जे को मन जाने मन कोय मने मार ठग न पाए मत परसु पर जाए मने मग्न चले पंथ मन धर्म से तिसम ऐसा नाम निरंजन हुए जीव को मन जाने मन कोई मने पाए मुख द्वार मन प्रवाह साधार मने तरे ताय गुरु सिख मने नानक पविना भी कैसा नाम निरंजन हुए जीव को मन जाने मन कोई पंच प्रमाण पंच प्रदान पंचे भाव दर्गे मान पंचे सुरदा राजान पंचा का गुरु ज्ञान जी को कह विचार करते के करने समाज हो धर्म दया का सोम का पूत संतो ताप के जन सोत जेको बुझे हुए सच्चा दर पर किताबा धरती होर परे और किस्ते बातले कमजोर जी जास रंगा के राव सब ना लिखे उड़ी कलाम लिख लिख जाने को लिखा लिखा किताब होए केता ता स्वाले रूप केते ता जन कोण कूत कीता पसाए बकवा तिसते हो लग दरिया कुदर कौन के विचार वारिया न जावा एक बार जो तुद भावे साई बलिकार तू सदा श्रम संकार असंग जप असंग भाव असंग पूजा असंग तपता असंग ग्रंथ मुख वेद पाठ असंग जोग भगवे दास असंग गुण ज्ञान विचार असंग सत्य संसार असंग सुरमो बलसार असंग मोह लेवलाय तार बुजुर्गों का विचार वरण जगत पर जग तू बादशाह बलिकार तू सहस्र काल असमूर खंगोर संचोर नाम कुर सम कर जाए चोर संग गल वजे अतर कमाई पाप पाप कर जाए असंग कुड़िया कुड़े प्राय समरस फल बकाय संग निंदक सिर करे पार नानक नीच कहे विचार वारे न जावा एक बार जो तुझ पावे सह बलिकार तू सदा सलामत निरंकार असनाव संताव गमगम सुनलोय संके सिर बारवे कृष्णम कृषालाय अक्रि ज्ञान के गुण गाय क्रि क्रम बोलन बाण क्रासर सजो कांचन एलिके तिसनाय जो प्रमावित युद्ध पाए जेता के तत्ता नाम 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 को थाम कुदर कौन का विचार वारे न जावा एक बार जो तुझ पावे साई बलिकार तू सदा सलामत निरंकार और हाथ पे तंदे पाने दोते के मूत प्रीति कपड़ो दे साबुन यो तोय बरे मत पापा के संगो बिना के रंग पुनि पापिया करनाई कर कर लिख ले जाओ आपे भी जापी खाओ नानक में आओ जाओ तीरथ तप दया दान जो कृपा तिल का माल अंतर्गत तीर्थ मल्लाव सब गुण ते मिनाय कोई गुण की ते भक्तरा स्वास्थ्य आत्मानि ब्रह्मा सत सांस्था में चाओ कौन सुवेला वक्त कौन कौन तित कंवार कौन सुरति माव कौन जितवा काल वेला पाय पणति जे होय प्राण उत्तर पाय का दिया जे लिख उड़ान तितवार न जोगी जाने रुतमावना को जा करता सृष्टि को साजे आपे जाने सोय क्यों करा का क्यों सलाह क्यों निक भी जाना नानक का सब के आके तू सियाणा वडा सा वडा नायक की ताजा का होए नानक के को आपे जाने अग गहरा सोए पाताला कागा संगा सुर गुण बाल तके वेद केने वासे सठारे केन प्रतिभा सुले का लेखा होए ता लिखिए लेखे होए विनाश नानक वडा किए आपे जाने आप सालाय सालाय ते सुतना पाया नदिया देवा पवे सम ना जाने सुसा सुल्तान गिरा से ती मालदन की तिलाव निजत स्मरण मिसरे अंतना सिप्ति कहनांत अंतना करेंदे नांत अंतना विक्रम सुनांत अंतना जापे क्या मन मत अंतना जापे की ताकार अंतना जापे पारावार अंत काणा केते बिल्ला तक अंतना पाए जाए एवं न जाने कोई बता कई बता होए बड़ा साहेब ऊंचा था ऊंचे पर ऊंचा नाव एवड ऊंचा होवे को तिस ऊंचे को जाने सोए जीवन आप जाने पाप नानक नदी कृमिदार बहुता कर्म लखना जाए वडा दा तत्ला तमाए केते मंगे जो दुपार केते ग्रंथ विचार केते कपर केते लेले मुकर पाए केते मूर्खाए काय केते दूध पुसत मार के विदात राता दातार ए विदात अजरी दातार बंद राशि पाए होय बुरक न सके कोई जे को खाए कखन पाए ओ जाने जेते मुखा या पे जाने पे दिया के सेवी के जिसुन मुख से सब साला नार पात से पासा अमर गुण मल पाल अमर व पारी मुंडल मुंडार अमर आवे मुंड जावे मुंड पाए मुंड समाय अमल धर्म दीपान अमल तो अमल पे निशान अमल कर्म अमल तान अमल ओम न खने जाए आख आखे उलाय आखे वेद पाठ पुराण आखे परिक्रिय विज्ञान आखे परमे आखे आखे गोपी दी गोविंद आखे सरा के सदा के ते बुधा के दानव के दीवा के सुर न मंजन सेव केते आखिया कृपाय वटा केते के उठ जाए एते केते हो कृता कर से के जेवट भाव तेवट होय नान जाने सच्चा सोय जी को के बोल गार ता लिखे सिर गवारा गवार सोदर तेरा किया सुंदर किया जित विष्णु समाने माते नाद रिक संका के तिवण हारे तेरे तेरा परिसुम के जन केते गौण हारे गांव तो कौन पानी में सुंदर गवर जतन द्वारे गावे चित गुवत लग जाने निकले धर्म विचारे गावे सर्वमा देव सोस न सवारे गावे इंद्रासन बैठे देवता दर नाले गाँव से समाधि अंदर काम सब विचारे गाँव जति सत्य संतोषी गावे वीर करारे गावन पंडित पंडित रखी सरजू जो है दानाले गाँव मोड़िया मनमोह सुन मचा कयाले गाँव रत्न पाय त्रियर्थ से नाले गाँव जोत बाबू छुरा गाँव खाने चारे गावे खंड मंडल वर बंडा कर के तेरे धारे सिद्धू गाँव जो तु पावर त्रिवर सारे और केते गाँव से में चित्रावना क्या विचारे सोई सोई सदा सच सब सच सच नाय बेहोशी जाए न जासी रचना जन चाय रंगी रंगी बातें कर कर जिसे माया तुम पाए कर कर बेटी गीता पढ़ा ज्यो तिस जीवड़ी आई सोच सुभावे सोई करसी पर न करना जाए सो पातसा सा पासा नानक न जाए मुंदा संतो श्रम पजोली ध्यान की करीबो चिंता काल द्वारे काया जतन जब डंडा पड़तीद आई पंथी सजवाती मंजिते जगदीत आदेश से आदेश आद अनिल अनाथ अनहत जुग कवेश बहुत ज्ञान दया भंडार गढ़ बाजे नाथ आप नाथ नाती सजा करे सदा साध संजोग विजोग दोय कार चलावे लेखे वाये पाग आदेश से आदेश आद अनिल अनाथ अनजुग दुर्गवेश एक माई जगत व्याय तीन चले प्रमाणिक संसारिक भंडारिक लय दीवान ज्योतिष पावे तु चलावे जो प्रमाण होवे के नंदन को विधान आदेश से आदेश आद अनिल अनाथ न जुग दुर्गवेश एक दूजी बोल लख होए लखवेश लख लगे राखे नाम जगदीश ए प्रापत पवड़ी चढ़ियो के सुंगल आकाश की गीताइस नानक नदी पाई पूरी पूरी किस आखर जोर सुपे न जोर जो न मंगल दे ना जोर जो न ज्योति जिस सार जिस हाथ जोर कर के सोए नानक तुम निचना कोई राति रति तिथिवार कौन पढ़े अग्नि पता तस्वीर जी जोत के रम तिनके नाम अनेक अनंत जिनके नाम अनेक अनंत कर्मी विचार सचम सचा दरबार तिथे सोन पंच प्रमाण नद्रिकम पर निशान कच पकायो थे पाए गाय गया जा पे जाए धर्म खंड का यो धर्म ज्ञान खंड का कुक्रम कहते पौन पानी वे सुंदर कहते कान में कहते पर में गात गड़ी ये रूप रंग के वेश कहते कर्म भूमि में कहते कहते दो वेश कहते इंद्र चंद्र सूर्य कहते मंडल देश कहते सेद बोध कहते दिवेश कहते देव देव दानो मन कहते रत्न समन कहते खानिया कहते पानी कहते पास रंग कहते श्रुति सेवक कहते नानक अपना ज्ञान खंड में ज्ञान प्रचंड थे नाथ नंद श्रम खंड की बाणी रूप थे गणत गड़ी बहुत न पुलता क्या गला थना जाए जी को कहे पछे पछताए तिथे घड़िए सूरत मत मन बोत तिथे घड़िए सुर सुधा के शोध कर्म खंड की बाणी जोर तिथे होर न कवि होर तिथे जोत महापल सूर मेरा मृह भरपूर तिथे सितो सीता माय मामाय ताके रूप न कितने जाए नाव मने न ठाके जा जिनके राम वसे मन माय तिथे भक्त वसे के लोय करे न सच्चा मन सोय सचखंड वसे निरंकार कर करवे किनत दयाल तिथे खंड मंडल अबर मंडल जेको कथितांत नाथ तिथे लोलोकार जे जो हुक्म तियो तियो प्यार वेखे विकसे कर विचार नानक कथरा करा सार जत पहरा धीर सुनियार एहन मत वेद हथियार वो कला तप्ता भांडा बहु अमृत तत डाल घड़िए सब सत्य जगसाल जिनको नजर क्रम तिनकार नानक नदरे नदर निहाल जिनको नदर क्रम तिनकार नानक नदरी नदर निहाल श्लोक पौन गुरु पाणी पिता माता दरत महत दूसरा दुई दाई दाया खेल सल जात चंगिया बुराया वाचे धर्म दोर कर्मिया पुआ पड़े के नेड़े के दोर जिन्ने नाम त्याया गए मशक दखाल नानक तिम खोजले केती छुटी नाल जिन्ने नाम त्याया गए मशक दखाल नानक तिम खोजले केती छुटी नाल वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह तुद आगे अरदास हमारी जियो पिंड सब तेरा वाहिगुरु कहो नानक सब तेरी वडियाई कोई नाम न जाने मेरा वाहिगुरु 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 तीन ताप निवारण हारा दुखन ता सुखरास काको बिगना को लागे जाके प्रभागे दास तुदा गिरदास हमारी जीवन सिर तेरा को नाम सत्य विजय कोई नाम न जाने मेरा अरदास एक ओंकार वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह श्री बोधि की साहिवार श्री बोधि की पाछे दसवीं फिर तुम बहुत इसमत के गुरु नानक लेते आए गुरु महाराज रामदास से उसाए अर्जुन हर गोविंद सुनो श्री राय श्री कृष्ण की आई चिट्ठी सब तुम जाए एक बहादुर सिंह एक घर नौनी दावे धाय सब थाने शायद अंदन दशम पातशाह श्री गोविंद श्री महाराज सब थाने शायद दसम पातशाह जो श्री गुरु साहब के पाठ दीदार ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਕੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਬੋਲੋ ਜੀ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਪਿਆਰਿਆਂ ਚੋਂ ਸਭ ਜਾਣਿਆ ਚਾਰੇ ਮੁਕਤਿਆਂ ਹਟਿਆ ਜਪਿਆ ਤਪਿਆ ਜਨ ਨਾਮ ਜਪਿਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੀ ਛਕਿਆ ਦੇਖ ਚਲਾਈ ਤੇ ਕੋਹਾਈ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਕੀ ਤਾਤਨਾ ਪਿਆਰਾ ਸਿਕਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਕਮਦੇ ਧਿਆਨ ਅੰਦਰ ਕੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਬੋਲੋ ਜੀ ਜਿਨਾ ਸਿੰਘਾਸਣ ਅੰਦਰ ਮੇ ਸਿੱਧ ਤੇ ਬੰਮਨ ਕਰਾਏ ਕੋ ਪ੍ਰਲੋਹਿ ਚਖਾ ਤੇ ਚਲੇ ਆਲੇ ਚਰਾ ਕੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਦੀ ਸਿਵਾਲੇ ਕੁਰਬਾਨੇ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਧਰਮੀ ਹਾਰਿਆ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਕੇ ਸਾਹ ਸਵਾਸਨ ਨਾਲੇ ਬਾਈ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕਮਾਈ ਦਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਅੰਦਰ ਕੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਬੋਲੋ ਜੀ 50 ਤਖਤਾਂ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰਦਾਸ ਦਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਅੰਦਰ ਕੇ ਬੋਲੋ ਜੀ प्रथम सब खालसा जी की अरदास है सब खालसा जी को वाहिगुरु 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 चितावे चेता उनका सत्कार सर्व सुख होवे जहाँ जहाँ खालसा जी साहब वहाँ तार चर्या देख देख फतेह व्यक्ति पैर पंथ की जी श्री साहब जी सहाय खालसा जी के बोल वाले बोलो जी सिखानु सिखी दान केस दान है दान विदान विसा दान गुरु सादान दान से दान नामदान श्री अमृतसर जी दे दर्शन शाल चौकियां झंडे पुंगे जुगो जुगट धर्म के कार बोलो जी सिखा दा मनेवा मातु जी मत पद रखा बकार पुरख वाहिगुरु काल पुरख पड़े पंथ देश दास साहिदा तार जियो चैनल काना साहब ते होर गुरुद्वारा गुरुधाम जना तो पंथ छुड़े गए खुले दर्शन दीदार सेवा समागम प्यारी खालसा जी नु बख्शो खेन माणियां दे मान निताणियां दे तान निवटियां दे उठने आसनियां दे आसे आप दे पावन पवित्र चंगा कुमरखी अरदास बेनती सदु पातशाह जी आप जी दा महावाक सत होया जिहा चीज लिखिया ते हुक्म कमाए खले आवे नानका सते उठी जाए दे महावाक कुन सात पातशाह जी आप दी बेटी हुई आत्मा ग्रुप कैप्टन इंडियन एयर फोर्स सरदार गुरदीप सिंह उन्हां दे दो पुत्र सरदार निक सिंह सरदार सुखी सिंह वालों अरदास बेनती समूह पर संघर्ष कुशल परवारों पर अरदास बेनती सब पातशाह जी मेहर करनी कृपा करनी पातशाह जी विछड़ी आत्मा सदैव काल अपने चरणों गोला निवास बख्शिश करना पिछे परिवार के सुख शांति उतारे पिछे परिवार नु पाड़ा मंत्री ताकत बख्शिश करनी जपजी साहब दे पाठ हुए बाणी पढ़ दिया सेवा कर दिया आप जी दे बच्चा पर सुनी अबला चुका नहीं क्षमा बख्शिश करनी पढ़ी सुनी बाणी सत्य के प्रवान करी पढ़ी सुनी बाणी ना पाओ ਸਾਸੰਗ ਦੇ ਹਿਰਦਿਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਸਣਾ ਹਾਜ਼ਰ ਅੰਦਰ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਨ ਕਰਿਆ ਅਸਰ ਤੇ ਮੇਰ ਬਰਾਤੀ ਕਰਾਂ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੁਖ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ ਦੇਸ਼ ਪ੍ਰਦੇਸ਼ ਸਰਬਾ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਕਨੇ ਅੰਗ ਸੰਗੋ ਕੇ ਸਾਇਨਾ ਆਪਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਪਿਆਰੀਤਾ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਹਰ ਦੀਵਾਨ ਹਰ ਮੈਦਾਨ ਫਤਿਹ ਬਖਸ਼ੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਮਿਹਰ ਕਨੇ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰੇ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਗੁਰਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਸਵਾਸਾਂ ਦੀ ਪੂੰਜੀ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰੀ ਸੋ ਸਵਾਸ ਪੂਰੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੰਸਾਰਿਕ ਯਾਤਰਾ ਦੇ ਪਰਲੋਕ ਗਮਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਆਤਮਾ ਦੇ ਸੁਖ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ ਕਲਿਆਣਤਾ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਮਿਹਰ ਕਰਨੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਨੀ ਵਿਚੜੀ ਆਤਮਾ ਨੂੰ ਸदैव ਕਾਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਚਨਾ ਨਿਵਾਸ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਾਂ ਪਿਛੇ ਪਰਵਾਹ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਣਾ ਮੰਦੀ ਤਾਕਤ ਬਖਸ਼ੀ ਪਿਛੇ ਪਰਵਾਹ ਨੂੰ ਸਿਰ ਤੇ ਮਿਹਰ ਬਰਾਤ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੁਰੀਆਂ ਸਰਬ ਬੁਲਾ ਚੁੱਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਖਿਮਾ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਨੀ ਸੇ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਮੇਲੋ ਜਨਮ ਮਿਲਾ ਤੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਚਿੱਤਾ ਆਵੇ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਮ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਬਾਣੇ ਸਰਬ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ
folks, if you could all remain seated at this time, the family would like to come up and say a few words. Shortly after that, there will be another service, and then our services will be concluded. Thank you.
All right, everyone can put their shoes back on if you haven't already done so. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for being here, and for those who could not make it, taking the time to tune in virtually. My Dada is the reason we all joined together in this room. His presence in any room he entered, with his smile, his jolly attitude, I think it's something that we can all definitely say we're gonna miss, but I still feel it here. No matter how old someone is, and how full their life was, a loss it's a new void. And the only way to slowly fill that is to honor a person with what they have taught you. The hugs, the advice, the conversations will be missed, but the lessons are what we should all pledge to carry on. I mean, surviving a partition, being an Air Force pilot, and creating the foundation for what our family has in the US are accomplishments. But what shines above all, and I think it's something we can all relate, is how someone makes you feel. And I think we can all say at some point how he made us feel loved, he made us feel happy, and whatever his memory is, his accomplishments are one thing, and I'm sure you'll hear from the family about those, but I'm here to remind everyone of how he made me feel. He made me feel that everything would always be okay. His capacity for love was unlimited, and he made me feel that difficult things are worth the risk. I, for one, struggle to summarize 39 years, but I have two young people who can tell you the unfiltered, purest version of what his presence meant and how they will carry it on, if they can. But here is Serena. Sorry.
Big Nan, I love spending time with you. My favorite memory with you is making rotis with all the love of our heart. Love when you had your birthday with all the Oreos, mint chocolate vanilla. You made it extra special. You are the best great grandpa. I will remember you always by smiling and being loving. Your love was so powerful to each and every one of us. When Mom opened up all Big Nan's stuff, I reminded myself how great you are of being a great grandpa to my dearest great grandfather.
She wrote that all by herself, unedited. And then I was going to read Jaden's for him on his behalf. Okay, he's gonna come.
Big Nana was such a great person. He was so smart, and he was a phenomenal grandparent. He was so kind, and he tells the best stories. My favorite memory of him is when he was playing with the slingshot, and he told us to get berries, and we shot the berries out of the slingshot. He did it with us, and it made me feel so happy. I will carry on his spirit every time because I'm going to be nice like he did. He was so kind and respectful, and I'm going to try to be the amazing man he was.
Now, Bridgemont Uncle would like to say a few words.
That's a tough act to follow. The great grandkids being the special words. We lost my sister 13 months ago today, and that was 3 days before Christmas of 2021. And today he's leaving us to join her. And I'm sure they'll have a very long journey together wherever they are. It was hard then and it's hard now. but with the support of all of you, our friends, it makes it a little easier. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. He had a great life with my sister, and he passed away peacefully with his children, his grandchildren, and great-grandchildren near him. And very few people are that lucky. He would have been 96 in 4 days, and he never let us forget that. He wanted a car for his birthday. He reminded us every day that I have my car ready, but he didn't quite make it there. A lot of memories going way back, and I'm not going to recite all of them because we'll be here till next Sunday if I do. When I first met him was probably around October of 1953, almost 70 years ago. I was 13 at the time, and he was 26. And I thought, he's the handsomest Sardar I've ever seen. You know, nice, really smart, you know, Air Force officers and all armed forces, they're smart. And nice trimmed beard. Now, back in those days, that was a no-no. You don't trim beards. And his mother was quite orthodox and religious, and she was very unhappy about it and let him know. But he and his brothers tried to convince her that being a pilot, you have to stick your head out of the plane every now and then, and the wind kind of trims your beard. I don't think she ever believed him. But anyway, that was the story. So we grew up in a small town on Mount Abu, as the name suggests. It was up in the mountains. And our extended family was in Jodhpur. My Buaji and her son and daughters. And her son, my cousin, was about his age. And he had the two younger sisters. So we used to spend a lot, and that was like, there were two homes. We spent a lot of time there. And during one of our visits there, when my sister was there, my cousin had arranged for him to come and see his sister for a proposal for marriage. But when he saw my sister, he said, that's the one for me. So things changed very quick. And I have, again, as I said, so many good memories. So when he came to Mount Abu, he came with his Air Force friends, 3 of them. And they came on 2 motorcycles. And Royal Enfield was the motorcycle. That was the Harley Davidson of India. So you can imagine a 13-year-old with all these 4 handsome guys on these motorcycles. Just think about that. And I always looked up to him, and he was a great help. He actually, one of the first things he did was he taught me how to tie a knot in the tie to make a perfect triangle. So if you like the style, it's thanks to him. We were, at the time, in the small town, it would be blasphemous to have a girl and a boy meet. So when they did come, it had to be a top secret that they didn't come to see us. So they all stayed in a hotel, and there was a mutual friend, one of our friends, who promised to keep the secret, where they would meet during the day, and then at night he'd come home and he'd go to the hotel. But that's how quiet we had to keep it. I used to go to Delhi a lot. That's where his parents lived. and his brother and his brothers who lived all there. And he was a great hockey player. Now, when we say hockey in India, that's field hockey. And there was a match between the Air Force and the Army at the time, and he was playing for the Air Force team. And when we went to the match, just before the game started, these planes came down and people parachuted down. And just before they landed, a hockey stick on a string would come down, and it seemed like the players were parachuting down. And of course, all the spectators thought that. But we, in the inside secret, we knew they were not, they were just paratroopers, just standing in for them. So that's one of the memories I had. Then I used to, when he was posted in the National Defense Academy, where the three services cadets train, I spent 2 or 3 months with them. I used to spend a lot of time with them, but those 3 months while he was there, he used to train the would-be pilots on the gliders. So even though it was prohibited, he would take me up there now and then with the glider, on the gliders. And that was quite thrilling. After my parents passed away, he and my sister were our parents, and they helped us get through a lot of tough times. And my 2 youngest sisters spent a few years with them. And quite coincidentally, both of them were married to Air Force officers. I don't know how that happened, right? But anyway, he was always an inspiration to me in a lot of ways. And when I came to this country in 1971, became a citizen in 76, they were the first one, my sister was the first one I sponsored to come here, so we could repay back a little bit of what they'd done for us. And at the time, she came first, and he came 2 years later because he had to stay. He couldn't leave because of the service regulations that he had to stay at a certain time before he left the country. And I think my son, and he came in 79, my sister came in 77. He was about a year old at the time, and Sabrina was 15 months older. So what they called him, I'll explain why they do that, and then he'll have his take on that. Whenever he saw Sabrina and Anveer, he would say, Bobby Bob, and he called them Bobby Bob. So somehow that name they took and started calling him Bobby Bob. So that was the name that even to today, they still call him Bobby Bob. So I'll let Anveer just say a few words and give his side of the story of why he calls him Bobby Bob. But I thank you all very much for being here. Thank you.
As my dad mentioned, in 1979, we were roommates, Bob and I. He was about 51, I was 1. And we were good buds. And as a kid, things are pretty simple. So you like the grown-ups who are fun, or silly, who make you laugh, who play with you. And that's why Bobby Bob, and you know why we call him that now, as my sister and I would call him. And he was just my favorite growing up. He made me laugh every time I saw him. He was the oldest one of the gang, of this generation here in the States. But he was always spry. He had a spring in his step, a joke to tell, a game to play. And that's how he lived his life. In the midst of enormous sacrifice. A man who had title and station, comfort and security in India, to come to America for the generations that followed him, of which there are now 3. The entire time, dancing, joking, drinking, and laughing. And he was naughty into his 90s. And I admire him so much for it. His attitude towards life and his devotion to his family inspire me to want to squeeze a little more juice out of every day. And I will keep it brief and say that may we all follow in his example, be naughty into our 90s. May we dance, joke, drink, and laugh in his memory. Thank you all for coming.
I want to introduce his youngest brother, Preet. He and his wife have come from Toronto to be here for this. Thank you.
Thank you. On the onset, I'd like to thank every one of you who's here today to give support to the family at this time of grief. Gurdip was my second eldest brother. We were 6. I'm the youngest in the family. And after Gurdip, now we are 3 of us are left. As I knew Gurdip, my elder brother, from the very young age, he was very vibrant, full of life, and totally fearless. In Pakistan, when we were very small and he was like about 19 or 20, he was very fond of everything fast, racing cycles. He loved his horse, to the tune that my mother used to make butter and he used to steal that butter and feed the horse. And they had some kind of a relationship with the horse. You know. The moment the horse would see him, he was like excited. When we moved away from Pakistan to India, he joined the Air Force. As we all know, he was a brilliant Air Force officer, a very good pilot and an instructor, metal wing. He taught so many people flying who later became, I suppose, the air chiefs in India. Gurdip was a very warm person. He helped our entire family all through. And we always looked up to him. He was like my hero. I tried to copy or emulate him in anything that he did. I joined the service after him, seeing him such a handsome person looking in his uniform, he was like absolutely dashing. Gurdip and Bali, the way he used to get onto the floor and dance, I think we were in awe of him all the time. And I always wanted to be in the service and do exactly what he was doing. He was a man who had a lot of zest for life, and he lived it well all through. He was the longest living in our family, I think. And because of his zest for life that he carried on in this manner. He was a wonderful person, a very loving husband. He used to dote over his wife all the time. And he could never say no to her. I remember one incident, you see, when in Chandigarh I was living with them and Bali was just learning how to drive. And while he was away to office, we both took off the car and, we were just reversing and she somehow rubbed it on the wrong side of the pillar. And the car was, like grazed. And Gurdip was very fond of being very meticulous and keeping things in order. And we were both virtually so scared, Bali and me, that we do not know what to do, that we're going to have hell today when he comes back. So what we did was we took the nail polish. It was a maroon car, so we took the nail polish and we put polish on the car and trying to hide it. But lo and behold, the moment he entered, he looked and he said, my God, something has gone wrong. His eyes were so sharp. And I think he could never say no to the lady. And and she knew that her tears would do the trick. The moment she started crying, he came and hugged her. Don't worry, darling, it's okay. And all was okay. He was not only a wonderful husband, he was a wonderful father, a very caring father to both the children, and a doting grandfather to both the lovely girls. A wonderful person we shall always remember. I don't know, I have very few words to define him, as a matter of fact. A great person. I always love him and will pray for him. These loving children, I think after Bali left, he withered away very fast because he was too fond of her and probably couldn't bear the separation. But the children, Sukhi, Nick, Renu, and the grandchildren, did their level best to keep him happy and in good condition all through and took good care of him. And he did not suffer and went away peacefully. We're really grateful to the children for being so good and so kind. I like to pray for him and thank God that he did not suffer. My eldest sister, Brajendra, who is in Hyderabad, and my brother, Mohandeep, who is also in Hyderabad, they could not be here today, but they joined me in offering their prayers and their last respects to this wonderful person. I pray to God to give eternal peace to this lovely person and the lovely soul. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna try my best. To my dearest Dada, 5:55 a.m. on Friday morning. I dreaded this phone call. But you were a man of numbers, a man who loved things in order, so it is no surprise that you left us when you did. We will miss you so much. We recently had the opportunity to spend every single day together over Thanksgiving week. I knew in my heart that that was our last of times together. You told me you had several years left, but God had other plans. I want to thank you for holding on so you could spend that time with V, Key, and myself, but most importantly, you waited to meet my Bodhi. You've described my boys as the most beautiful boys that you have ever seen. And you reminded me daily, please have more kids. You were legendary, but that word doesn't even seem big enough to explain you. Every single day started like this. Hi, Dada, how are you doing today? Your response was always, I'm absolutely wonderful, and I'm fine. I never heard you complain once in your life. Well, only if we didn't give you that beer or whiskey. You always greeted us with a kiss on our hand, followed by a kiss on the cheek. As everyone mentioned, you were a pure gentleman who had a life well lived. I'll always remember you as silver in your hair, but gold in your heart. You taught us to truly live each day, take risks, and never be afraid. The nurses around you grew to love you so much. It is no surprise they started calling you Papa. I'll never forget one nurse said, whatever GP wants, GP gets. We don't argue with him. He is the best man in here. Thank you for the most incredible memories over the last 35 years. I only knew you for a third of your life, but as you've all heard, your brand has always been described as a legendary pilot, one who is always joking, laughing, and dancing through it all. You've been the best husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. I wouldn't change a thing about you. You were always up for the adventures, and you taught Ro and I how to ride a bike, never with training wheels. You taught us both how to bake the most perfect cake, and even showed us how to use a John Deere tractor. Thank you for playing shop with us, letting us comb and cut your hair, cook for us, iron for us, And most importantly, you've always showered us with unconditional love. You are my best friend, and I promise I'll always add the extra sugar in my coffee for you, but not 8 packets. I'll miss our daily trivia and the random fun facts you always shared. Your energy was contagious, and you were always ready for the last dance. I know you are in a better place now, in heaven, watching over us, cheering us on, but most importantly, reunited with your one love, our Davi. We are so blessed because of you. Love, your Shoshka Pasha.
Well, once again, I want to thank everyone for joining us this morning to pay respects. I sincerely appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. As everyone knows, the loss of a parent is irreplaceable and the void never heals. But again, this is reality. He really lived a full life. He enjoyed every moment. One thing, he's taught us a lot of sports, from riding bikes to riding horses to boats and flying and all that stuff. So most recently, he keeps reminding me, he says, when you swing that golf club, keep your eye on the ball. He says, every time you mess up your stroke, he says, that's the number one reason. So again, thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you for joining us today to honor my father's memory. We want to thank the family all over the globe, India, and across the country that is joining us live stream today. Thank you for the love you gave my father throughout his life, the respect you had for him. The heartfelt messages in the last 2-3 days of my phone just speaks volumes about Dad, and I will share a couple of those messages. The big chief, my favorite, is gone. The legend has left. A great man, we loved him. Everyone from India to my cousins that are so much younger than him had so much love for the time they had shared with him. The Detroit family, the love and respect for my dad. Auntie Shamim, Ela, Bridge Mama, Sabrina, that literally camped with me in his room for weeks, spending hours not leaving his side. We had standing room only. I want to thank you. Renu, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the love and care you gave Daddy. Rohini and Sim, the bond you had with Dada can never be broken. He lit up when he saw you. Since most of you here do not know my father from India, I will tell you about the father who raised my brother and I. What a journey, Dad. What a journey. A memory lane for the ones who do know him from India, join me in this memory of a beautiful life with a great man. As you had heard, Dad was a pilot in the Indian Air Force, excellent one at that. His story that was told to me repeatedly, and from many, he said, told me over and over again over the years that when the plane always kissed the ground when he landed it, Group Captain Gurdip Singh, commanding Bangalore Air Force Station, with hundreds of officers and airmen working under him. I can never forget my father being picked up for work every morning, the Air Force car, come home. The driver would salute him when he entered the car and then unfurl the flag before he was driven away. It was an impressive sight for a young boy. He received many medals during his service in the Air Force, including a Vayu Sena medal. What a treat it was to see my dad dressed up for important occasions, wearing all his medals on his uniform. Last month, he reminded me that he received the Vayu Sena medal that was given to him by Air Chief Marshal Arjun Singh. It was a treasured memory for him. My uncle and I talked about the horse that Dad had as a kid and how he fed him, rode him, and how lucky to have a father who teaches you to ride horses, play golf, play tennis. My father was a hunter. Suki and I enjoyed some priceless times hunting with my dad. He's teaching us everything he knew, as if he knew that someday in the future we will enjoy this. And we still do. Thanks, Dad. Weekends we found ourselves target practicing with Dad, where the target was the head of a matchstick where we had to shoot it, and he was not satisfied till we made sure that we actually hit the target. But that's the kind of father I guess I think back and I wonder if it really happened in this life or it's a dream. Some of my favorite memories with him, the summer vacations in the desert in Rajasthan, where we would go where my grandparents owned marble mines. We would ride camels, go hunting with him. And the hunt was literally the dinner for the evening. How could my brother and I forever forget Dad taking us up just alone, just me and him, or me and him and Suki, on a glider, being wenched up, and he said, we'll catch a thermal wind, and we would fly miles up in the sky. I felt I was on top of the world. Thank you, Dad, for a childhood that memories are made of. The dreams that I have today are all made by you. In his 50s, the height of his career, he gave it all up, decided to come here for a better opportunity for us. The educational foundation and the discipline our parents raised us made our transition seamless to America. A little over 20 years back, I asked Dad to help me for 2 weeks at work. Short-staffed. These 2 weeks turned into 15 years. How blessed could I have been to have had a father who lived with me, worked with me, golfed with me, traveled with me, more than all that, was my best friend. I salute you, sir, for the officer you were, the gentleman you lived as, and for being the greatest dad I could have ever asked for. This past year, I spent hours with Dad talking about my favorite moments in life: playing golf, hunting, riding horses. I had an opportunity to spend a little over a year when Mom had come here and my dad and I were alone in India. I guess because it was my last year in India, I have a clearer memory of what happened. It was two guys just having fun, racing motorcycles that my mom wouldn't let me have while she was there, riding horses with him. Oh my God, what a feeling. And the last few months, life had come full circle. The man that helped my brother and I take our first steps in life now needed our help with his last steps. I was so fortunate to have Mom and you for so many years and feel so much love from both of you. Dad, I know you loved Mom more than life itself. The love you had for each other was a priceless environment to grow up in. How fortunate Suki and I were to have you as our parents. Now memories of you are all I'm left with, and I will cherish them till the end of time. I know Mom is waiting for you, Dad, so go be with her. Just in time for your birthday this coming Thursday. Please tell her I miss her very much. I miss her every day of my life. May you both rest in peace. I know someday I will see you again. I love you, Dad.
उदागे अरदास हमारी जीव पिंड सब तेरा है। कौलानक सब तिज वडियाई कोई नाम न जाने मेरा वाहिगुरु 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 दास ओंकार वाहिगुरु जी फतेह श्री भगवती जी साहिबार श्री भगवती जी पासी दसवीं प्रथम मोती समर के गुरु नानक लेते आए फन गौतम दास रामदास से हुए सहाय अगर गोविंद सुनो श्री हराय श्री कृष्ण त्याये जिथे सब जाए थे दादर सिमरे धरणों ने दान गाय सब तो सहाय दान दंड संपात श्री गुरु गोविंद सिंह जी महाराज सब तो से दशा पातशाह जी जो श्री गुरु ग्रंथ साहिब दे पावर दी दात ध्यान के खालसा साहिब बोलो जी पंजाब प्यारे चौहान साहब ज्यादा चले मुक्ति हटे जपया तपया जरा नाम जपया वर्ण की चकिया देख चलाई देख वहाई देख अंत किता जना प्यारा से चरण निकम दे ध्यान के खालसा साहब बोलो जी वाह जना सिंहासन ने अंदर में स्थित ते बन कड़ाई को पुराना चक्रते चढ़े आरण चढ़ेगी गुरुद्वारे दी सियाली कुर्बानी के केंद्र हमने हरे सिद्धि के साथ श्वासन हलवाई जना निकम दे ध्यान के खालसा साहब बोलो जी वाह पंजाब तख्ता सर गुरुदा दे ध्यान के बोलो जी प्रथम श्री खालसा जी की अरदास है श्री खालसा जी को वाहिगुरु 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 चिताए चेतावन का सत्ता सर्व सुख होए जहाँ जहाँ खालसा जी साहिब तहाँ तहाँ चरियाए देख देख पति वृत्ति पैर पंख जी श्री साहिब जी सहाय खालसा जी के बोल वाले बोलो जी सिखानो सिखी दान केस दान वे दान विवेक दान निशा दान भरोसा दान दाना सरदान नामदान श्री अमृतसर जी के दर्शन स्नान चौकिया चंडे पुंगे जुगो जुगट समझे कार बोलो जी सिखादा मनीवा मातु जी माता दरा कब काल पुरवाय गुरु काल पुर कपड़े पंदे सदा साइदा तारियो शनिकारा साहब ते और गुरुद्वारे गुरुधाम जन तो पंतु चुने गए कुले दर्शन दीदार से समागम प्यारे का से जुनु बख्शो हे निमाणिया दे मान निताणिया दे तान न्योटिया दे ओट न्यास कर दे आसरे आप दे पावन पवित्र चरणा कमल के अरदास बेनती सदु पातशाही आप जी दा महावाग सत होया जिया चेरी लिखिया ते हुक्म कमाए खले आवे नानका सत्य उठी जाते मावक अनुसार आप जी दी भेजी हुई आत्मा गुरप कैप्टन इंडियन एयर फोर्स सरदार गुरदीप सिंह जी जिन्हें श्वासां दी पूंजी बख्शिश की सदगुरु पातशाह जी सो श्वास पूरे करते हुए संसार यात्रा करते हुए परलोक गमन किया उन्हां दी विचड़ी आत्मा दे सुख शांति कल्याणता वास्ते पातशाह जी गुरु परिवार सरदार निक सिंह जी सरदार सुखी सिंह जी सब परिवारों को अरदास बेनती समूह शासन को अरदास बेनती पातशाह जी मेहर करने कृपा करी विचड़ी आत्मा नु सदैव काल अपने चन्ना कमला निवास बख्शिश करना पीछे परिवार के सुख शांति बताड़ी पीछे परिवार नु बहाना मनती ताकत बख्शी करे सो परिवार ते सकते मेहर बरत रखना परिवार के सुख शांति देश प्रदेश सर्व रक्षा करे अंग संगों के साहिब आपस में प्रेम प्यारेता चढ़ती कला हर दीवान हर मैदान फतेह बख्शी करे सही प्यारे मेलो जन्म ले तेरा नाम चितावे सगुनाल राम चढ़ती कला तेरे वाणे सर्वता वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह बोले सोनिहा वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could kindly be seated for just an additional moment for a concluding announcement. This does mark the end of services here at the funeral home, and I again, on behalf of the family, want to thank all of you for being here today and supporting them during this most difficult time. Additional prayers and cremation will now take place privately. As you leave the funeral home here today, we do want to offer everyone in attendance a final opportunity to pay their respects at the casket, starting with those of you at the very rear of the chapel, working your way forward. If you could kindly follow the instructions of my colleague, Jeanette Oravec. You'll come forward by way of the aisle on your right. Please take a small handful of rose petals that are placed up in front of the room, and as you approach the casket, you can set the rose petals down with Mr. Singh. Thank you again.